on the bus on the way to CIM. Start location, there's the dam, Folsom Dam. And there she is, the latest additions to the wall. 40th anniversary CIM medal. Finisher marathon medal, 1983 to 2023. I like this medal a lot. It's got a nice feel to it in the hand. It's really quite heavy, actually. Sacramento Running Association. Here's 2022's comparatively, and let's run into it. 2023 recap of CIM with the ambiance of the new, surrounded by the ambiance of the new plants and humidifier, and finishers jacket, plus the new running sticker collage, anything cycling board in the background that will be updated throughout, and the new medal and bib number. And I'm going through my recovery process, which I am taking a lot more seriously than I ever have before. No running this whole entire week, and I'll probably start cycling and start my strength training routine coming up into next week. So I will do a follow-up video on a lot of the stuff I do for recovery, but this is the first time that I'm taking recovery to the fullest to really absorb my training and all the muscle damage and tears that have happened, and all the muscle tearing that needs to be repaired while eating a lot of good, healthy, clean food, and all those vegan proteins, all that high quality vegan protein. So going into this marathon, I was not as confident just because I kind of felt like lethargic going into this one, and I felt really achy. So I was not in the same mindset that I was last year, 2022 CIM, to where I was a lot more optimistic and just a lot more ready and really kind of like wanting to run more. I was like really in that mode, and sometimes it's your day, sometimes it's not. There's a million ways to win, a million ways to lose. So I'm glad I didn't get injured, glad I finished, but mostly glad that I got a PR, and let's talk about that, which we will get to. Going into the CIM, I talked about this in some of my previous videos, and if you follow me on Strava, Joey Moselle, JoeyMousel, Santa Rosa, my Strava diary of, every time my titles kind of tell a story of what's going on in my training. But 3 weeks out, about 3 weeks out, I did my last long run over 20 miles, which I posted in a video before. Previous to this, talked about some of my speed, tempo workouts. I need to get, I think, some of my speed workouts, like my Zone 5, I need to get that going better in my next marathon training block. But going into this marathon, I just kind of had a more laid-back mindset, and I don't know if part of that was feeling like that this time around. Like, you have your ups and downs throughout your training, and hopefully everything comes together during race day to where you just, maybe you'll get runner's high, maybe you just feel like amazing that day. Like, those runs that you have where you go out and you're not expecting to do much, and you end up just totally crushing it. So it wasn't one of those days. The positive about going into that mindset, it wasn't really a mindset, but just feeling like that going into it was, it gave me like more calm headspace to get better sleep before the marathon. And I think just having that, some of that different kind of confidence where you are, you've been there before, and you feel, you kind of, like, I did have a slight confidence of like, okay, I've been here before, I know what I'm doing. And even if I don't feel great, I still feel like I'm at least gonna get within my top 3 times of my marathon PRs. So like if I get within my top 3, this is like your your 3rd best marathon. This is your 2nd best marathon, or Strava's like obviously a PR is really is the what you're going for and which was welcomed. But going into it, I did have a little bit of confidence. Like I've been here before, I was able to not have the pre-race jitters as much. Like I got like some pretty good sleep 2 nights before when I got to Sacramento. Got everything set up in the hotel room. But I was so achy, I actually brought the road bike to possibly not even do a shakeout run before, to where I was gonna just do a bike ride the night before, like something like 5-6 miles. I just chose not to do that. I did the shakeout run, which I put at the end of my last video, which was my marathon prep meals. Pasta la pasta and rice baby. So I had my spaghetti, pretty basic, no extra fiber, no vegetables. I like rice, sugar, dessert. That I also ate for breakfast with a bunch of berries one morning. It was really good actually. Just a ton of sugar, extra carbs in the rice, and with some health. I just was like, screw it, I need to get some good nutrition, and you feel really good when you get a lot of fruit, and especially like berries, stuff like that, nutrients. So slept pretty well the 2 nights beforehand, and slept decently the night before, but they had like a bunch of parties going on in the town square across from the hotel at Neotoma Inn, which was pretty frustrating because you could hear them when you're trying to sleep, and it was at least past 11, I think, because I did wake up like a little bit, went back to bed. I probably got to sleep about 10, woke up, had to pee, and I couldn't go back to bed for like an hour, so probably not until like 2. Woke up at like 4:20, 4:30, and just started getting ready real quick. So I didn't get great sleep the night before because I'm not used to going to bed that early, but I didn't get I didn't get as terrible sleep as I did in 2022. And previous to that, the night before, I was at the very end room in 350. I was in 350. In 350, I was the furthest away from the elevator and the ice machine, and I decided to do an ice bath the day before. I forgot how much I hated ice baths. I'm like only 3 minutes in. It's better be worth it. So, and this was after driving like, I can't remember, like 20 miles back to the Sacramento arena where they had the expo to get my bib and check everything out. And we're here at the convention center. There's the map course.
I think they just did it.
If you're just getting here, you're standing in line for packet pickup, please prepare your QR code associated with your race confirmation and your photo ID as you head into the next pickup. If you've been here for a while, don't forget to check out the corner of the expo where most pieces of great activities.
massage, and then I tried the compression sleeves for $5. Like a massage, you do like $20 for like 10 minutes. She was really cool. She gave me like, I think like 16 minutes or something like that. So I got a massage at the Monsters. She gave me an extra like 5 minutes. It was really good. I think it was worth it. And this is what it says. It was like $20 for 10 minutes, but she gave me like 16 minutes, so that was cool. In that time, got like all over the legs, pretty tense. So nice little massage at the convention was totally worth it. I really should have gotten a real massage before the marathon, so that was that was better than nothing, because I had a full-on massage, like hour-long massage last year before CIM, and I think that really helps. Thanks, Giovanni. Thanks, Sensei, and thanks, my ninja. But I was pretty stoked at the expo that they at least had that, so better than nothing. And had some, loaded up on some really good gels. That's the cool thing, is anything you need prior to the race is going to be at that expo. So like if you forgot something, you're like, oh man, I didn't get enough gels, or like, they had Gooder, they had Garmin set up, they had a Garmin roadshow there, they had vendors for Shox Run Pro, they had they had Nathan, Asics, all sorts of clothing, running. They had all sorts of running clothing brands out there. A lot of vendors and roadshows for that. So if you need gloves, glasses, even Rabbit had like a stand where you could even get like pocketed race day half tights and shorts and singlets. They even had hats. So you get the point. They pretty much had everything. Lot of booths. From sunglasses, socks, storage. If you're missing anything race day, there's going to be plenty here to get. Shot glasses. I'm going to get some gels though. I need to get some extra gels for the marathon.
By no means is Tina saying, oh, think the worst thing that's going to happen. It's not that at all. It's being prepared to navigate what does happen. Being able to adjust while you're out there so that you're still focused on the end goal, which is achieving the finish and doing it in an enjoyable way. So I think we're
more and more socks and belts, and I'm way too finicky and picky with that stuff. I take way too long online, let alone here. I need to get out of here and start resting and maybe take an ice bath and maybe hot Epsom salt. I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna start spending way too much money. They got the shocks that I want. I'm gonna wait till next year. I spent way too much time at that expo. It was just really fun. CIM is a legitimate big marathon, so it was really fun to see all the expo stuff, and I didn't do any shakeout runs with the Kofuzi groups, unfortunately. That would have been pretty cool to get some footage of that, but I thought sleep was more important than like really trying to sleep in. versus, you know, getting up a little extra early to go do that shakeout run. So I just did my shakeout run once we got back from the expo, took an ice bath, and you know, started to prepare my night and eat and stuff. But let's talk about that ice bath. This looking at my steps in my Garmin watch, as I was saying, with the ice bath, is being in room 350. It was the furthest away from the elevator, all the way at the end of the hall. So it was actually a really long walk to where the elevator and ice machine were. So I set the bath as cold as possible, but it was still like really not at all. I did like at least minimum dozen trips back and forth, and like each one was over 200 steps according to the Garmin. So I walked over a mile just bringing ice, like an ice bucket like this big, back and forth to the tub because it kept melting by the time I got back, to get it cold enough to where it was cold enough for the ice bath. You just need to be cold enough to where it's like there's at least a little bit of ice like showing. And you want to be in there minimum 3 minutes, but preferably 5, no longer than 15 minutes. I did the full 15 and took a hot shower afterwards, and heat also gets your blood moving to help with inflammation and healing. So doing as long as you can for like, I did like a half ice bath to a hot shower afterwards. I think was pretty beneficial, but walking well over a mile back and forth with the ice bucket was really a big pain. Like if it were just back and forth from like the first room to the elevator, because it's a long hallway, it's a pretty big hotel, that actually like was probably a little too much strain on me, because I was working up to that point. I'm always working on my feet, and you really want to, like in your taper, you want to kick your feet up more and stuff. You want to like dial back. Something someone told me is I've heard different methods on this. I did my last track workout 12 days prior to CIM, so I did like a 6:50 pace for half marathon on a track, ran to the track, did the 6:50 pace for 13.4 miles, ran back to the car, and so I was going sub 3 marathon pace for 12 days out for 13.4 miles. I think that was a pretty good session. I think I probably needed that, but I think there was like a run that I was like way more achy afterwards than in the taper than I thought, because that it would make me, and this is why I think I may have had like a slight like sickness, because when I get like sick, I don't really get full blown sick. I just get a little achy and kind of like lethargic. And I did like a 5-mile run, like maybe a week out or something, and the first 2 miles were like marathon pace, and I just felt really sore afterwards. It was like weird, and like I had another weird thing about race days is I was feeling up to that point, and after that run, during that run, right here on the outside of my calf, I can even feel it now, there's like a knot, and I kind of thought this might give me some problems during the marathon, or that maybe my knees would or something. But it's funny how something like you think you're gonna have a problem with an injury, or like I wasn't injured, it's just like like a really sore spot, a potential problem area, and it's totally something else. Like I was like, the 2022 marathon in CIM, I was feeling really good for a long period of time during the start, but like kind of right off the bat during the marathon, I was like, felt kind of like sluggish, like I just felt like the pace was like kind of hard, and like I was like, this is not a good sign that it's so early. But I just kind of kept that pace as long as I could, and then I finally fell off a little bit, and then picked it up towards the end. Last year, with the pace, I felt really good towards the beginning, and this time, I kind of felt it right off the bat. So I am lucky. I'm happy to PR, even though it was like not a huge PR. It was only 42 seconds, so I'll take it. Could have been way worse. I was happy enough to get up early enough to actually get to one of the over quarter miles of porta potties that were at CIM.
So here's the beginning of the porta potties. Can't even begin to describe the lines for this. So you're gonna want to go all the way towards the end. The porta potties down this way, just get a lot of these huge lines. how long these porta potties go on for. Porta potty lines. They flex about having the most porta potties out of any marathon.
Got my bathroom bowels out, made pee-pee, and I actually got in line early enough with the pacer, although they were kind of far ahead. And then, you know, the announcer was doing his thing, and then CIM had a delay for 10 minutes, so the race didn't start at 7 a.m. It started at 7:10 a.m. And the buses from the hotel leave at 5:30 a.m. Very long walk from those buses to the start line and the porta potties and all that. And the starting gun goes off. The first groups headed out. It probably took, I think it took like 2 minutes from that start gun to actually cross. It was like over 2 minutes, the start line. So don't worry if you're running and you're like not in the very lead packs. You're where all those like elite marathon runners are, and you're running and you see every 5K, you know, when you go through those checkpoint markers, that the time is more than you've been running to your watch when you hit your watch, like right before the start line, because you didn't cross that yet, and the time should be based, and it is. CIM is very like legitimate, has their stuff together kind of marathon. When your chip goes through every 5 from the beginning to the end and every 5K leading up to it, don't worry about what the clock says on those 5Ks. I mean, yeah, worry about it, but like but just know that you didn't start until like 2 minutes or so, however long it took you to get to that start line. So you might at the end of a race see, like, say you took 2 minutes to start when they hit the starting gun, and then you finish and you thought you ran like a 3:05 and it says 3:07, like it just takes that long to get over the start line. So it's really about your chip time. It was pretty rough. Don't feel like I felt as great through this marathon like I did last year, all the way throughout. I had some good moments of like feeling good during the marathon, but it just felt hard, way too hard for what it was. And it was hard, don't get me wrong. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, running that 7:03 pace for 26.2 miles. But my quads were killing me, like, way too much. So I started getting a little worried, like when I'm, getting up to like, that 14 to 16, 18, 20 mile mark, and they were just like, felt like they were going to explode. But looking back at it in hindsight, in this marathon, I was worried I was going to have a cramp up or like seize out or something. You do see quite a few people get injured, can't finish the race. So you will see that along the sideline, people having to be like help, or they're being helped to walk off, stuff like that. So, which can be kind of stressful. Going into another marathon, I think I know that as horrible as it can feel, you can still keep pushing that pace and give it your all to not be injured, because that's like something that also goes through your mind. It's obviously you're going to have those defense mechanisms go through your mind while you're running. Like, your body is like telling you stop, you have to hit the override button. And typically if you hit the override button, like say even in your training, you'll notice it, like, man, that seems really fast, I feel kind of on this run, like I don't think I can push this pace right now. And if you just turn your legs over and do it, you'll realize while you're doing it, like, wow, it's not like I can do it. You just have, because you have to experience those zones in your training and have be able to run on tired legs and be able to know, like, I can do this on tired legs. And you do have to brush up against that wall a little bit in your training to run a marathon and PR, stuff like that, if you want to just keep getting progressively better. And one of the annoying things also in this marathon is I was running behind this guy with a cowboy hat, and he smelled really bad. Like, I could smell him when he was running up front. Like, no joke, his BO was so bad and offensive. Like, you should not be so stinky that you are forcing others to smell your bad odor, your poor hygiene. He could be 15, maybe even 20 yards ahead, and I could still smell him. It was that bad. He was wearing like a cowboy hat and like a cut off arm sleeve, like, I don't know, like he was going for like the hick look or whatever, and he had like a wispy or like curly mustache. So I think his finishing time was like 3:11, maybe 3:10 or something. 3:11, I don't know, but it was pretty awful, and I was like trying to, and I just had really bad luck with that guy. Like I would try to like go to another area, which is something I didn't want to do. You don't want to cut as much in a marathon as it adds to your distance, but I was doing it anyway, and he just somehow always found himself like kind of in my headwind, and like that headwind was pushing that BO back towards me, and there was some bad experiences in that race that just kind of like hampered me a little bit. Like also my music, like my marathon mix kept going to other songs, and I realized that it wasn't going on a loop. It was going on like a suggested mix after pressing a song from that mix. So I would be wanting to listen to music I had on my marathon mix, and I kept changing it, and it kept going to like music that it was suggesting for me of artists that I don't know, and that threw me off. And the sun was in my eye, but like no, that was annoying. And I wore a hat this one, and it was warmer than expected, definitely warmer than last year. So I think that actually wasn't very, like, I wish it was actually cooler in the 40s. Like I think it was like 54 degrees pretty much throughout the whole marathon, and like right around there. I wish it was like 5, 6, 7, 8, I don't know, like somewhere in the 40s or something like that at least. I guess some people really like cold weather, like 38. I wouldn't want to run in 38 degree weather, but apparently like 38 to 44 is probably good. For me, I'd probably like 46 or something like that, just to keep it really cool. But that was a little warmer than expected, so like I would actually take my hat off a little bit through them. I would take my hat off sometimes in the marathon, the runner hat, or NNR, my red one. Which I got just before the marathon, kind of matched the Saucony Pro 3s, the red and gold I had, my kind of Sonic looking shoes, and kind of pine nut colors too, gold and red. So I would take that off to kind of release a little bit of the air, or some of that heat that I was feeling, because you're gonna get hot running a PR pace, the fastest you ever ran for 26.2 miles. Or longer, I'll get to that. My gel approach this time was I was trying to eat more gels than I've done in marathons before, so I try to eat a gel every 3 miles, which also was kind of difficult, and sometimes it would get a little sticky on my fingers, so I would take an extra cup at the water stations and kind of get them, because it was just annoying, and I would actually kind of wash my hands a little bit, rub them on my half tights and my singlet, which I did the bandit half tights and singlet with the seven pockets bandit half tight and the bandit singlet, and obviously eating while running your gels and getting that out and stuff, it takes a little longer to do, so it does hamper your time a little bit. So I'm wondering, I'm trying to get my strategy. I figured like eating more carbs, more race fuel throughout, I've heard can be a good thing, but I've also seen some marathon runners do, I think like 6 gels, like I brought 7. So, and they had bananas and gels along the course as well. So I ate one of those. So I think I had 7 gels in total, and probably like 2 quarter bananas, and I hit every water station, and probably had 2 electrolyte stations, because I had electrolytes with my caffeine before the race. So I didn't want to, and there's a bunch of electrolytes in the gels as well, so I didn't want to get too many electrolytes and have an electrolytes imbalance and poop myself during the race, because my stomach was kind of hurting a little bit like that towards the over the second half. Glad I didn't have one of those moments, because that can happen. That happened to me once in one of my long training runs over 20 miles. So far so good in actual races, and so I'm pretty good with like not needing a ton of fuel like during runs and stuff like that, long runs. but you're not going to get as much out of those runs if you're not feeling yourself properly, because you're going to be going slower, and your body's not going to be as used to pushing those paces. So I would recommend at least getting some fuel in during some of your longer, harder sessions and stuff if you can. That 13.4 tempo run I did under a sub-3 marathon pace, I didn't have anything, but I was getting close to my second PR on that, so I said, why not? I'm just going to go for it. So I feel like I do run pretty well without like a ton of fuel or water at all sometimes, and maybe I'm the kind of person that just needs to eat a gel every 4 miles instead of every 3. So that was an experiment as well, and something that else was on my mind that really hurt me during, I think it was miles 7 or 8, was my slowest mile. Was like, I think it was the slowest mile, 7:33, so that threw me from under 7-minute pace to over. It brought me like right at 7:03, so I had to get it back down after that to catch up. Was I really had to pee on the course, and I kind of had a feeling I might after the porta potty. Once I got to the starting line, I was like, I kind of think I have a teeny bit pee right now. Like if I were able to pee one more time, which I wanted to, but the gun was going to go off soon enough, I don't think I would have had peed the whole race. But it was on my mind, and it was stressing me out. And having to pee, if you have to really like go bad, which it was getting at that point, it's going to slow you down. And I saw people do this that really had to pee where there was no porta potties on some of the check points, because I saw some of the typically at the water stations they would be people in the 1 or 2 porta potties that were there, and so some people just would go off into the bushes or behind a tree. I went behind like a big power box, and I just had to pee, let it go, and then I just got right back on course, started running, pushing it, getting my pace back down to under 3:05 pace, which would be my goal pace. Those were some of the trials and tribulations throughout the marathon. I'm sure there are others that are eluding me right now, and the lead up. And in this marathon, getting towards the end, or like after the second half, really around like mile 8 to pass the second half, like 22 miles, I just thought my quads were gonna burst. And I think the last 5K is where I really started to push it, because I was like right around 7:03 pace right there. I was at PR pace. I need a 7:03 pace to qualify for Boston. And the thing is you have to kind of go faster than you're thinking because of this reason, which I was alluding to before, earlier in the video, is with the professional distance being measured, and you can read up on this, is anyone will tell you there's some people that will run over a mile in a marathon than just the 26.2. You're never going to just run 26.2 because they perfectly measure it. Like for every turn, it's like straight turn, straight. So it's like 26.2. I think it's technically a marathon is 26.21. So you have to go a teeny bit over that 26.2 to run a full marathon, by the way, just so it counts on your PRs for Strava, etc., and so forth. With over 10,000 people running, I think it was like over 11,000 or something that were signed up for that race day. Runners, you're gonna be doing some weaving. There's gonna be a lot of people you have to kind of like, you're sharing that road with, that you're gonna be, going to the left over to, like, if you want to keep your pace, you're gonna have to pass that person. You have to go this way, you have to go that way. There's data on this where they've measured on marathon courses, for every turn you take, if you don't take it a perfect straight line for every turn, cutting those corners, like if you go to the outside, is if you take it like the worst possible way you can, is it adds 40 feet to every turn. So the only way to run a perfect, like if you're not going over in a marathon, is you have to run straight, just corner to corner, so like the only way to really run one is like really very minimal people pacing, and then like one of those like sub-3 projects that like Eliud Kipchoge did on like a straight line kind of thing. So that is, you're just always going to run over 26.2. So this time GPS had me at 26.32, so really, it's like if you want to, like say you want to qualify for Boston and you're teetering on the edge, you really want to go over if you want to be sure. Like if you're going to PR on your watch by like 10 seconds to qualify, you're probably going to need to do more than that, because your course time is going to be slower. like there's not been a single course so far that I've ran perfectly straight and ran only 26.2. It's always over 26.3 or 4. One time I did Napa 26.5, and the course time is always slower. So sometimes not by too much, but like last year my course time was over, I think it was like 3:06:36, but my GPS time was, if you look at it, it was accurate. Like I ran that marathon within those parameters from start to finish at 3:05:23. This year I ran GPS 3:04:41 is my marathon PR, but I ran 26.32 miles in the marathon, so my course time was 3:05:15. So I need that to go 15 seconds lower to say 3:05 or under to qualify for Boston, to go run Boston. So it was bittersweet, and when I checked CIM's website, I still had that glimmer of hope because it said unofficial, and then sometimes they update it like to where your time is going to get better because on their website, because it's an unofficial time. Sometimes you'll have to do adjustments because sometimes it'll be an unofficial time like, oh well, we didn't adjust it to the start time of when they went over. It was like just when they hit the gun versus when they actually went over the starting line to the finish. Sometimes they'll adjust marathons because their initial data is this is that from the gun time, so it's going to be 2 minutes slower. And then sometimes they'll update their website. I think you typically by like 5 p.m. that day, you say you'll finish at like 10 or like 10:15 or something like that, 10:17, 10:18. It'll show like from when the gun went off, and it's not updated to when you went from the starting line to the finish. So that's why sometimes you'll see your course time change initially from unofficial to a faster time, is because they're accounting for that, adjusting it. Especially like big marathons that have their stuff together like that, they are gonna they're gonna make those adjustments because you're putting your blood, sweat, and tears in your training, and they know how important it is. And these are runners typically themselves. These are runners themselves, I would hope. The time never changed, so it was disappointing. I would check every like hour or so, and it went from unofficial just to the course time. So I didn't want to beat myself up too bad. It's bittersweet. Like, I was happy to PR. You should always be happy to PR, but it wasn't my Boston qualifying course time that I needed. So hopefully I'll get that in the future, and stay tuned for my next marathons coming up in the future, because I'm thinking about, I wanted to do Chicago, but apparently I had checked and those sold out really quick. They only open Chicago submissions for like a month, and then it's closed out. Like after the Chicago Marathon, I think they open for the next year for you to apply to run the marathon like 3 days afterwards, and then it's open through like November 16th, and then they cut off submissions for Chicago Marathon. So it fills up really quick. It's a ton of runners, so that's gonna be, but it's a way flatter course. It's not the rolling hills of CIM. It's like more like, I think it's only like 250 feet of elevation gain, so it's like just really flat. So like CIM does have over 650 feet of elevation gain, but it's also like has a net drop of like 300 feet or so, maybe more. I can't remember. And but running up the elevation, those rolling hills don't stop until 22 miles. Like a little after 22 miles of CIM is like where the last hill ends, and then it's like flat the rest of the way. And there's like a very slight descent drop. Next year, when in 2024, when the Chicago marathons finish, I'm gonna try to put my application in right away in those after the marathon, so I can run Chicago Marathon 2025, because I would like to run a big marathon like that, one of the world's majors. And hopefully by then I'm Boston qualified, and I'm also set up for Boston at some point. And I'm looking at the Indianapolis Marathon in October next year, or Carmel, which is also in Indiana. It's the Carmel Marathon. It's like this, I think it's like the town or city of Carmel, like town city. It's like they're both faster courses. I think like one is 300 feet of elevation gain, and one is, so they're pretty flat, like 250 feet, something like that, maybe less. they're not as big, obviously, as Chicago, but it's a fast course, and I kind of want to go see some new areas and just say screw it, run a new area marathon. That might be some new breath into me. That might make things a little extra exciting, and which might also push me over the edge. And I'm trying to set up 2 marathon races, because if you do too many, you're going to burn out. You might be more risk to injury. You can either race a lot or race really well. So typically they say, like even the pros only race 2 marathons a year, and they take a big recovery, which I never used to do, where they like stay off their feet for a long time and then they start training a lot again after the marathon. So because like you get a whole body workout, you're just dead afterwards. My legs were like, I couldn't even get on the bus after this marathon. I was like, my quads were so bad. I had to like really like pull myself up, and like even like my I was rubbing so much even on my arms that I have some really nasty like cuts on the armpits, like from all the chafing. Who needs Flint when you got these when you got this kind of rubbing going on? It's gonna start a fire out there. Look at that chafing from the marathon. That can happen during a marathon. Happened to my right armpit as well. As you can see, that's how much your body works in a marathon. Even from your arm swinging, it can even from your arm swinging motions, it can have that much of the chafing effect on your body. That's some pretty bad burn. Yeah, it's serious. It's not for the faint of heart. It's that kind of pain and the ninja has to endure for that long. Is when you're trying to run your fastest for that long is it's no joke. So, setting my pace from 7:05 marathon per mile to 7:03 was definitely it may only be 2 seconds, 42 seconds of a 2-second average pace better, and 42 seconds better PR, but it's you really feel it. So I also had some cherry bundies before and after the marathon. Only one cherry bundy left after the marathon. Those running athlete tart cherry juice recovery drinks. So I don't know how much those played a role. I tried having some beet juice before the marathon, like leading up to it. I'll try to I'll try to experiment with some of that in the future as well. Maybe these other marathons, and we'll see what I do. The Carmel Marathon for Indiana is I think March, April or something, and then so it's like I either do like Carmel and then a local one like Santa Rosa or CIM, or in Sacramento again, or Santa Rosa would be cool because it was the one I haven't done before, and I do like Napa, which is sooner, which is more local, then do the Indianapolis one, which is in October. So you have a split training blocks, and you don't get like super burnt out or risk too much injury. Something to recover and do some. So I'm trying to figure out where my next marathons are going to be, and I'm going to do some more research, see if I even want to do something else, see what other marathons are going on. Maybe there's some other fast courses and new exciting areas to go visit. Just go visit some new areas and run some new marathons that others haven't done before, and keep you guys updated. Our adventures. We'll have a real rad lifetime, and hopefully you can take something from this and improve on your experiences, trainings. I would highly recommend CIM if you haven't done that before. It's really well organized. It's just a really good faster course. CIM, California International Marathon, is one I couldn't recommend enough. It's a great big marathon to try to set a PR at. Just keep putting the effort weight of the ninja in and chasing your PRs. Just remember, while you're training, no matter how hard things get during the race as well, ninja is one who endures. So whatever you gotta tell yourself, hopefully you're listening to yourself that day and you trust yourself, and it's going well for you and you're having a good race, because I didn't as much that day. Like I was kind of like not in the right headspace for whatever reason. I don't really have like a explanation for that, and I will do a video on my recovery in a separate video on how I've been recovering from this marathon, and hopefully this will have a better indicator towards my next marathon. Hopefully recovering properly this time will set me up for better training in the future for my next marathon, whatever which one that may be. Going into the race, I had my marathon prediction watch. It was the lowest I've ever had it, and I can usually run over 10 minutes faster than what it says. It was like 14 and a half minutes, I think the day of or something. So, and then after the race, it went down to 3 hours and like 13 minutes, or like maybe high 12s. And then like with a couple days of recovery, it went down to like pretty much 3 hours 12 minutes marathon prediction. So it's starting to go up a little bit, but I told myself I wasn't gonna run for a week, and then second week in the recovery, I was gonna do some cross training. Start riding my bike back to work, get my strength training routine done, maybe do like a light run. But I'm honestly considering taking 2 weeks off from running just to really let my feet heal, because my right foot especially was still a little swollen going into that marathon with metatarsal issues. Like I said before, X-rays came back negative, so I might get an MRI. We'll see. We'll see, because my left foot healed from before Humboldt. That was the one that was giving me issues, and then all of a sudden it transferred to my right foot. So hopefully it's an overuse injury that'll just go away like my left foot did. Not to say that my left foot doesn't get pain and overuse, but it's my right foot that has been taking on the burden. So please feel free and open to leave any comments, questions down below. I will do the best of my abilities, give Solidarity Mutual Aid to answer any questions you may have about my training, the course, anything I may have missed. Any thoughts, just post them in the comment kudos below, and I will do my best to answer with the best of my abilities in mutual aid and solidarity. And please help out the channel, subscribe, like, comment, hit the bell icon to get notified. Taking you on more adventures in the future. I got another video coming. So rad life to all, and peace out, my ninjas in the Pineapple Leaf.